everybody, welcome to Behind the Scenes. We're here at the CTN studios, and we always do these behind the scenes. We reach out to local people over the Middle Tennessee area that are making great impact. We bring them in so you can get to know them and the great work they're doing. So I'm excited to have with me today a good friend of mine, and this guy is making waves. I call him the coolest dude on the planet. You will never see him without sunshades on. He's just a cool dude. His name is Rick Rodriguez, and it's a pleasure to have him behind the scenes today. Rick, thanks so much for coming out, hanging out with us today, man. Behind the scenes. Definitely want the audience to get to know a little bit about you, Rick. So Rick is doing an amazing work with a company called LaCara Productions. He started that. It's with people in the music industry. He brings all the Latinos together, and even beyond Latinos, educating people in that music process. I love the fact that you're reaching into those younger musicians, helping them with a pathway through this difficult thing sometimes of the music industry. So we're going to talk about LaCara a little bit later. But Rick, first, tell us a little bit about you, where you come from, your background, and just what's going on.
Hey, well, I am Rick Rodriguez. I am the founder of LaCara Productions. We are an entity that offers artist development, artist management, publishing admin, different label services, and we focus specifically on reaching out to the Spanish-speaking audiences in the community to make sure we're building that bridge between the music industry and our Latino community.
Yes.
We also host a series of music industry mixers that are—
Love those. I've been to several of those, and just seeing the people come together, support each other, and the guests that you bring in, man, they're speaking life to people, giving them a pathway of walking through this music world.
Yeah, these music industry mixers have been around. We're celebrating 3 years this year in June. We host them every other month in different spots around the Middle Tennessee area, so that we are making sure we are bringing insight and being impactful in different parts of the Middle Tennessee area, not just necessarily Nashville.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, our focus and our base is in Nashville, but we reach out to places like, we go to Murfreesboro, and we'll go to Cookeville. We'll go to different areas where we know there's a need. What we're looking for is a hole that we can fill with information and insight. And like I said, we are very intentional in making sure that our Latino community, our non-English speaking community, is also getting that insight from professionals in the music business.
I love that. I love that. Now, you know, you're not born and raised in Nashville, so something brought you here. Where'd you come from, Rick?
Well, I am originally from the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas.
Rio Grande Valley, and I spent 4 years there. I don't know if we were there together, but we're here together
it's
now.
Very possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a full circle moment. Coming to Nashville, you meet somebody that you wouldn't think is from the Valley. Every time I meet anybody that's from the Rio Grande Valley, it's cool. You feel
cool.
it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh wow, what are you doing here? It's like, what are you doing here? Yeah, so I'm originally from a small town called Los Fresnos, Texas, right outside of Brownsville.
Right outside of Brownsville.
Stationed.
I'm familiar where that is.
Grew up obviously down there as a border town kid with the influence of music all around me. My father has been in evangelism all of his life, or most of his life, and in fact, for about 20 years of his life, he was a radio personality.
Wow.
So probably the most well-known radio personality in Spanish-speaking radio and Christian radio.
Love it.
So I grew up with the influence of Christian music. I grew up with the influence of I grew up close to the beach, so I grew up with that musical influence, and I grew up the influence from being a border town kid, the music that was coming from across the border from Mexico. So when I moved up to Nashville, I landed in Murfreesboro because I came to MTSU.
That's right, graduate from MTSU, yes.
I'm part of their recording industry program, which is amazing. It's considered one of the best. And
shout out to MTSU.
Yeah, I consider it one of the best in the world. So shout out MTSU, recording industry program, and all our friends out there. We actually still keep in touch with them and their Center for Popular Music through our mixers.
Yeah, and I love that, Rick, because like you said, I went to that one mixer, I think it was in Murfreesboro at the barbecue place, and a lot of the faculty from MTSU came over. So that's the kind of support system that you've built, man, and that's very evident, that people pouring back into that younger generation and helping people along the way.
I think that as a Latino kid growing up in a predominantly Anglo system or Anglo market, you know, all the music that we listened to was mostly English music, and music that was either R&B or jazz or rock. And of course, the influence that we have of the music that we grew up with as Mexican-American kids. So when I moved to Nashville, I wanted to make sure that there was representation of that,
Yes.
of what I was.
Yes,
There
I
wasn't a
love
whole
that.
lot. And you know what?
Yeah.
I came here in 2000. I came to
Okay.
Murfreesboro. I came to MTSU in 2000 with the intention or with the mindset that I was going to come to school, get my degree in the recording industry program, graduate, and then head back to Texas. And then that just never happened.
Never happened. So
Yeah.
that, you know, you never know the plan of God. And, you know, I'm here to say thankful you did move back because, man, we're here, we're friends. And I know, you know, before we go further into the LaCara, I want you to hear his testimony, how God walked you through some very difficult, trying moments that most people would have gave up on, Rick.
Yep.
And most people would have thrown in the towel and questioned God with everything before you started making this great impact with LaCara Productions and doing these mixers and just impacting people all over Middle Tennessee in the music industry. I want you to tell the audience a little bit about that and share that, because I'm sure people go through some hard times and they need to hear a testimony of somebody who made it through.
Man, you know, I think this all stems from my childhood growing up in church. My father and my mother were always very influential in making sure we grew up in the path. You know, we grew up in the Lord. And we were always preached about faith and believing in God and making sure that no matter what the circumstance was, there was always hope.
Hope.
And when you lose the hope, you lose it all. So it was keep your faith, maintain the hope. And I took a leap of faith, actually, when I left the Valley just to come to Nashville.
That's faith in itself.
That in itself took a lot.
Not knowing anybody, coming up,
I'm first generation Mexican-American. I am the first person in my entire family tree to actually go off to school, not just to school, but like leave that area
that I grew up in, and I
Those are things you see in the movies, you know, somebody leaving home, small town.
Yeah.
And yes, you
and
did.
I know it was difficult for my mom, especially to see me just take off as a young kid. Like, where is this guy going? But I always had the support of my parents, and I always had that faith. I always believe. I'm like, man, if God gave me some talent, I'm not going to be that one in the Bible that buried it. You know, I want to do something, and I'm going to go and use it and use it for good. So that was my first big leap of faith, was just taking off and going to a strange, unknown territory. And being even more than that, I was a Latino kid. There weren't a lot of people like me in this town, man, when I got here. And it's beautiful to see that growth throughout the years.
Absolutely.
But just recently, I have recently launched a TV show on a Spanish-speaking network called LaCara de la Música, which translates into the face of music.
Wow, love it.
LaCara Productions is our base, our umbrella company. And LaCara basically means the face. So we represent the Latino face in the predominantly white Anglo markets and music business. And LaCara Productions started producing LaCara de la Música, the face of music, the TV show that will be premiering on Spanish network television. That's a bilingual TV show.
Yes.
But this didn't just start overnight.
Exactly.
A lot of people are thinking like, wow, this dude just has all these great ideas.
No, man, it started,
Rewind to how this all stems and where it all comes from. I was also a tour manager for a very well-known artist named Raul Malo, a very good friend of mine and one of the greatest vocalists in the world. Unfortunately, we lost Raul to cancer recently, and before I did all that, I was touring and I was helping the record label that Raul manages and his band, the Mavericks.
Yeah.
So we were on tour for a while, and after that tour, I came home, took a break, and decided I needed to go on a vacation. So I went on a vacation with my wife.
Get some rest and relaxation.
Yeah, it was time to take a break. The band, the Mavericks, kept touring. I came home to take a break and go on vacation. And during that vacation, I had already had previous back issues, and my back not necessarily just went out. It pretty much broke.
Yeah, you couldn't move.
I couldn't move,
so I ended up.
I ended up in the ER. It turns out these discs that I was having problems with ended up exploding, which is something I didn't even know could happen.
Yeah.
So surgeon says you need to get into, we need to get you into surgery now because if we wait any longer, you are probably going to be paralyzed.
Yeah. And where were you at, Rick, with that?
I was out of town. I was out in a small town out in Illinois.
Yeah, because I remember you posted something.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I'm like, what? I immediately called your brother Joseph. And like, Joe, is this real? Where is Rick at?
Yeah, I was like,
we need to go get him? What is up? But you couldn't move.
He was supposed to be on vacation. All of a sudden, he's in the ER. So it turns out I ended up getting expressed or back to Nashville. Transported back to Nashville. I went into surgery, and after that surgery, I started going through rehabilitation and trying to get recovery from that, and I felt a lot of pain in my left arm.
Yeah.
And it was just unbearable, and it just kept getting written off as it's part of the surgery, it's part of your recovery.
Your recovery part. Yeah.
Until one day I said, this is enough, let's go see what's up. And it turned out that because of the alignment of my spinal cord and the discs that were replaced, now I needed to get an adjustment in my neck. So now I needed neck surgery.
Yeah, so that was, I remember, Rick, walking into the hospital room, and it's like, before you had the first surgery, and being Latino, you still got that tan that's coming on. But I walked in there, man, you were white as a ghost.
I was pale,
And still had the sunglasses on, so they never leave. You laid up in the bed, in the hospital bed with sunglasses on.
Yeah.
But pale, and not only that, like your body was like shaking.
Yeah.
Any little movement you made. And I remember we prayed, and I know God did some great things in your life through that. And I know there was somebody else in the hospital room you were praying for. But coming out of that, I remember when you said you needed the second surgery, and I'm like, God, really?
Yeah, it was
like, for
frustrating.
Real? He's been through enough, and so coming out of that, how did you feel when they talked about the next surgery?
Well, it's really crazy because I thought God has done so much good for me. Look at me, I'm on tour. I just got off this tour bus. I'm gonna go on vacation. Then my back goes out. I need the surgery. So you're thinking you're at the top. It's like God's got you going, and all of a sudden, you get hit, and now you're like, you're not. You just didn't lose a couple steps. You went all the way down to where you started, pretty much.
You land on your back.
Or so it seems that way.
Yeah.
Because we're human, we get frustrated. And I remember that I spent a lot of time I never questioned God. That's one thing. I've had so much faith, thanks to my, my upbringing. I've always had faith that there's a reason. There is going to be a divine purpose.
Yes.
I believe that things happen for a purpose or for a reason, as cliche as that might sound. And I felt that I was frustrated, and I was definitely in a lot of physical pain.
Yes.
And that's where I spent a lot of moments just crying to God and saying, man, I don't want you to heal me. I just want to feel some relief. Mm-hmm. And I think life is like that sometimes, where you don't really have to cry out for God for just solve this problem. And immediately it's like, I need a little bit of relief.
Just need some relief
Just give me some relief.
Yes.
And it's hard to talk about it because during that time, your faith is as strong as it can be.
Yeah.
Or so you think. And then things are just coming at you. And I remember that I grew up in church, and I grew up in music. I was always part of the praise and worship team.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and lay on my back, and I couldn't do much. I couldn't move. It was frustrating. And the thing that would keep me just in peace and give me relief was playing those songs that I used to play when I was, at church. When I was playing those songs that most of the time as a church musician, you're sitting up there in the pulpit playing the music, trying to be a vessel, trying to get that vibe flowing so that people can feel what you're feeling. And I felt that for the first time, I needed to not be playing those songs and not be singing them. I needed to be taking them in. And that's what kept me going. I would play these songs that would always feel like would uplift, the congregation. And now I was playing them and listening to them, and that's what was feeding my soul. It was making me feel like comfort. And so, through the struggle, I'm laying there on my back, and I would tell God, man, there's something that's going to happen out of this. I know you've got a point, you've got a purpose.
But that's a you know, because like you said, sometimes something just blindsides you, and you went through one surgery, and what you haven't shared yet is that the second surgery was going into your neck.
Yes.
And moving your vocal cords.
Yeah. So I had the first surgery, and I was happy that it had happened. It was over. And it was like a month later when the doctor said, you need to do back surgery. I mean, you need to get neck surgery. 1 month
later.
This time around, we're coming in through the front of your neck, and we're going to move your vocal cords and get to the back. And the first thing he asked me was like, "You're in the music business. Do you sing?"
Do you sing?
And I said, "I'm not a singer, but I do some singing when needed."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you may not be able to do that again, and possibly not talk." So.
Now, Rick, when you heard that,
the one thing also that would worry me more was that I am really stuck on looking to the heavens. You know, when I thank God, and I think, I like looking at the stars and talking to God, and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to move my neck and look up.
Wow.
So all these things were just piling up. I'm like, wait, hold on, my back just went out. I'm having to learn how to walk again.
Yes.
And now I have to go through this. And then I could possibly not be able to walk well. My arm had gone out, so I couldn't play guitar and piano. And it was just one after the other. And now I can't talk, and I can't, I can't sing.
All these things are just...
They're piling up. And I always tell people, man, the fact that you're a Christian doesn't take away the fact that you're a human being.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people, like, we tend to forget that. It's like, okay, now I'm a Christian, so everything should be, roses, and that's all beautiful.
It doesn't work out that way.
And the word speaks about trials and tribulations and hard times, but it also speaks about how we're going to get through them.
Yes.
And that is what mattered. That is what I would focus on.
And I feel like, you had that shift because you were there playing music and worshiping. But then it's like, God, it's like, no, I need you to take all this in.
Yeah.
And through that, Rick, I was able to witness that it wasn't like overnight, but you actually walked this out.
Yeah.
You walked this, got strength back in your legs, your arm came back, and you were able to sing and still play. And so, but I remember you telling me while you were laying, on your back, like your mind never shut down. You're thinking about, okay, God, when I get through this, what's my next move? And to which goes into LaCara Productions and the great work you're doing there. It's like it didn't just happen overnight, but you went through some stuff.
Yes, so when I'm laying there and all these things are, all these struggles are just piling up.
Yeah.
And I can't move, and I'm laying in bed. I couldn't really get up to do much. My back was recovering, my neck now. I had a neck brace. I couldn't move this arm. This arm had no motion. I had pretty much just died out. I was laying in bed, and I was like, man, I literally said to God, I don't know what your plan is. God. I was like, I don't know what the plan is, but I know it's going to be big.
Yes, yes.
And I always felt like God has me in the shop. I don't know much about cars, but I know that when cars aren't working well, you take them to the shop.
Take them to the shop.
And sometimes it takes a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes months. And I told God, like, I really just told him, I know I'm going through the shop.
Yeah.
Whatever it's going to take, wherever these parts are coming from. I just know there's something big. So while I was laying in bed, I was thinking about all these things that I wanted to do when I could actually get up and walk. And I wanted to do something that was going to be impactful and bring something that was going to be a benefit for our community.
Yes.
Not necessarily just in the church area, but I wanted it to be something bigger. I wanted to go outside of the walls. Like
go outside the four walls.
Go outside of the four walls.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't going to be like an evangelical thing.
Yeah.
Not that I'm against that. I just knew that it had to be something that required me using all my talents, all my knowledge.
Connections.
My
everything.
connections, my experiences, my personal experiences. I mean, the fact that I was first generation Mexican American, I had been the first kid to come and graduate and get a bachelor's degree. I knew there was more.
Yeah.
So while I was laying in bed, I was thinking of all these ideas, and I would think of all the different opportunities that our Latino community has during Hispanic Heritage Month, during months where it's highlighting our community.
Yeah.
But then after that, nothing else really happens.
Yes.
So I said, the only way that we can change this narrative is if I do something about it, or I help do something about it.
Yeah.
So I'm laying in bed, I thought, you know what, these mixers, these music industry mixers that people do, that they do or they put out for us, for the Latino community during Hispanic Heritage Month, why don't we continuously have those? Why do we have to wait for 1 month out of the year? And so I created this platform to create community, to have a space where people can come in and learn and take something home with them, whether it's a connection, where it's a contact, maybe a possible gig. And so the mixers are pretty much that. People, I know there's a connotation with the word mixer, but it's really my idea of putting different cultures, different rhythms.
It's mixing people together.
Yeah, different ideas.
People, yes.
Different people from different areas of the music business into one little box and shake them up and let's mix it up and see what happens.
See what happens.
And a lot of great things have happened. People have had jobs, they've gotten gigs, they've some people have gotten managers. So these things are working.
And I remember one I was at, you were specifically trying to connect people coming out of college.
Yes.
Because that's that disconnect. You know, your major is in music, and then you come out, you don't know who to connect with or where to go, and it's like, you know, the music industry in itself is probably a hard road and some struggles at times. But then what I love about LaCara is that your platform comes along and it's like, hey, we're your friend. Yeah. We're here to support. We're here to steer you in the right direction, connect you with great people that have been through that journey. That can answer those questions, you know. So, and I love your thought too, Rick. It's not just for the Christian community, but it's for the community. Yeah, because sometimes when we put that Christian label, we box it in and we isolate people. But it's also a great tool for people to come in and meet some great people that are positive. And that are supportive and that can help point them in the right direction. And one thing I do want to talk about, because you know we're such good friends, you shared with me the struggle of reaching out to when it comes to some of the Christian music,
the CCM world,
that you're trying to get them involved. And tell us a little bit about that, because that's real talk.
I think I grew up in church, man. My first stage was the church. That's where I learned how to play. In fact, I tell people a lot, man, I learned, the first time I picked up a guitar or an instrument or, sat on a drum set was in a church. And that's what kept me going back. I'm like, there's instruments at the church. You can learn how to play if you just keep going to church. And learn something from these cats that are already doing it. That's how my older brother was my first hero, my inspiration to want to be a musician. I would see him in church, and I would sit on the bench during the praise and worship, and my brother was sitting there. You could barely see him over the drum set.
Homer.
And Homer Garza, man. And my buddy, my hero, my first roommate, my first inspiration for music. And I was like, well, you can keep going to church. You're going to get instruments. You have access to music instruments. You can learn. And I have a passion for serving God in any aspect, not just in the church. And I always want to make sure that I give back. And I have, and that I could be of help for the musicians in the church community, because a lot of people, first of all, the music industry is a very, very, these are rough waters to navigate.
Just regardless.
Not in every genre, just in the music business in general, man. Navigating the waters in the music industry, it's difficult. So when you grow up in church, maybe what do you want to be in the music business? You just don't know what direction to take. How can I get some help? Where do I go? I'm on the praise and worship team, but what's the next step? And that's why it was important for the music industry mixers that we host to reach out to the CCM world.
Try to get them in here, that voice.
And the other half of that's very important to me is I would love just regular musicians that aren't in the CCM world to hear the experience coming from these cats that have been there. Because at the end of the day, this is a music business. This is a business. At the end of the day, regardless of how we want to look at it, music business is that. But when you can sit
sitting in the space where you're hearing and getting insight from these professional musicians, I always want to make sure that we have representation from the church community. And that's been one of the difficult things to accomplish.
And so I'm hoping this behind the scenes interview can change.
Come check us out, man. Come hang out with us.
For people that are in that Christian music world, that you've been in it for years and you've been through the journey and you feel like you have a voice that can speak back. That's what it's all about. You're speaking back into that generation and helping them avoid some pitfalls and some struggles and helping them get connected. And so we hope that changes, Rick, because
I hope so too.
I believe God wants to have his people being a voice in a generation. And it's this is something unique that you've done. And I love it that you've thought outside of the four walls of a church building and you've just opened this to the community. Yeah. And I'm telling you, these mixers are awesome. When you go there, there's all different types of people there, but it's like, I've never experienced a bad vibe from anybody. And it's always supportive, encouraging. I love it when the young people come out from the colleges, and so you build relationships with them and you find out more about them as well. So, Rick, in the closing moments of this interview, I want you to do this. I need to hear some bilingual. I need to hear that Latin come out. But look at the camera, tell people where they can connect with you. You can do that in English and Spanish, but how can they find out more about LaCara Productions? Just to get a hold of you, connect with you, so that they don't miss out on any of these mixers that are coming up.
Well, the best thing I could say is look up Rick Rodriguez here in Nashville. Our company is called LaCara Productions. Look us up, LaCaraProductions.com. Shoot us an email, info@LaCaraProductions.com. You can follow us on Instagram. You can find me on socials as Rick Rod or Rick Rodriguez. And if this is something that you think you could be a part of, that you could provide some insight, some word from your personal experience, come join us, because I think it would be very important for our music community to also get not just focus on the business, but also on the hope, on the faith.
Yes.
A lot of musicians, man, we're out there on the road. Sometimes you're away from your family, you get sad. Sometimes you got beef at home and you're not even there. So now you've got musicians that are not focused or people in the business that you're on tour now. You've got a problem with your significant other and you can't solve it because you're off on the road, or you missed your child's game or something. It gets tough for us out there. And I believe that if we're continuously just bringing messages of faith and hope and providing some insight that can bring some healing to the music community, then come join us, because we need your help. This is more than just a gathering. This is an opportunity to spread hope and love and show what the other side of the coin is for those people that think, well, Christian music, whatever, that's not my deal. Man, we've got some really good musicians and artists in this community as well that need to be mixing up with the other artists. And I know Christian and secular world, it doesn't really mix, but this is an opportunity to bring
that together,
to create a moment, to bring hope. Y para todos nuestros amigos que no nos conocen, pero que quieren saber un poco más, yo soy Rick Rodríguez de LaCara Productions. Viene próximamente un nuevo programa en el canal de Univisión que se llamará La Cara de la Música, donde estaremos compartiendo información de diferentes artistas y diferentes personas y personal de la alta gama de la industria de la música, donde puedes aprender un poco más de lo que es lo que hacemos, cómo superarte en el mundo de la música, y sobre todo puedes llegar a un espacio y ver cómo puedes crecer. También tenemos nuestros mixers, los Music Industry Mixers, los mixers de la industria musical, cada otro mes. Mantente en contacto con nosotros, lacaraproductions.com, info en LaCara Productions, y también en las redes sociales. Y más que nada, si te puedes llevar algo de esto hoy, llévate un poco de esperanza, llévate fe, llévate el mensaje de amor, porque Dios, sobre todo, es lo que es. Dios es amor y deberíamos de compartir el amor, no nada más con nuestros hermanos, sino con todo el mundo.
See, that's why he said that in Spanish, and I did not say that in Spanish. Man, Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
For hanging out with us, man. Love this guy so much, and once again, connect with him. Connect with LaCara Productions, especially even if you know anybody in the music industry that could benefit from something like this or be a voice to speak into it. You want to make sure you connect with them. Okay, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us for Behind the Scenes. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.